and the Planning and Zoning Commission can advise them and give recommendations that they will bring back for their final plat, and the final plat will be subject to public hearing, notice and hearing.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Kenzie Robertson with Highlands Engineering, representing Concept Properties. They purchased this property, this 80-acre parcel, in December. Came to us with the desire to build or create some 5 to 10 acre parcels. We sat down and came up with a layout with them. As county planner had mentioned, the 5 to 10 acre parcels will require a rezone, which we'll have at the next meeting. We met with Mr. Josephson on March 31st with that 10 lot layout. This would include a dead end cul-de-sac. It was pointed out that a cul-de-sac greater than 500 feet doesn't meet county zoning. So we came up with a leg to the west to create that cul-de-sac less than 500 feet. And that was okay with both us and county staff. We still are waiting on comment from the county weed officer. But other than that, everyone that we've talked to has been on board and has no issues with this moving forward. The developer is also working to get their covenances all together to address all the road maintenance and stone removal. I think with that, I'm open to any questions if you guys have any concerns with the plat or comments.
What were the questions with the weed officer, or what were you waiting to get back at on that?
There's just a comment from staff that we needed to comment or
Sorry.
contact them if there was any issues. They haven't had any issues, I guess.
Okay.
We're just waiting comment.
And Commissioner, Commissioners, I can clarify that is, since I've been here, it's been because of weeds, being probably our greatest issue, environmental issue here in Stark County. Whenever there's any new development, that the weed officer would go out and check to see if if there are any weeds out there, so that when the earth is moved, you're not taking those weeds and spreading them somewhere else, and to make sure that they come up with a plan if they need to. I think that, what the weed officer has usually said is they're waiting for the weather to get a little better, so at some point, if it's either before, final plat approval or any sort of, development out there, they will need to get approval from the weed officer, saying that they need to get approval, or the weed officer will direct them to undertake a spraying plan, to get rid of any noxious and invasive weeds on the property.
That added road that you added in there, now is there gonna be like a turnaround on that, or you're planning to build that in there right away in the development?
Yeah, we'll have a hammerhead turn so that emergency vehicles and other vehicles can turn around in that area.
Is there any future plan to the property to the west of that, or do you know anything of that?
There is no plans for that property.
Do these gentlemen have ownership to that property at this time, or is
To the west,
to the west?
they do not.
They do not. You have a right-of-way, a road built in on your survey? Are you intending to build a road out to the section line there, or?
That is not, the plan right now is just to have the hammerhead, and then if that property were ever developed, at that point, it would have to be built.
So it will not be an accessible road for the people that are going to be purchasing the lots? They're not going to have access to go out that way?
Correct,
The only access is the one to the south?
correct, yeah. And,
Shouldn't there be two accesses out though, on it, or not?
so through International Fire Code, a second access is not required for single and single and two-family dwellings until it reaches 30 units. I don't believe there's any language in the county, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the county zoning for a second access. It's just a dead end.
Commissioners, it is preferable. One thing I will say is that the applicants did contact emergency services, and that was sent on to the rural fire departments, and their comment was that the turnaround was adequate. We really do prefer to have two access points, but sometimes due to geography, that's not, that isn't possible. If the property to the east, if the property to the east, to the west develops, then during that platting process, the county will discuss them having a cross-access road that would link up, and that would give a second access point, out of the property.
As far as to the north, were there any chance of further developing to the north at all, or not?
Not a section line.
It would be quite difficult. There's kind of a drainage ravine just to the north.
So the road that
Thank
is
you.
coming out is coming out this way towards, and it's not towards the section line, is it? It's just
No.
the division of the quarter.
So actually,
The section line road is the main road to the west, I think.
yeah, it's another quarter of a mile west of there.
Yeah, here it is.
Right. So this is it's just drawn in on their map as access to someplace.
Yeah.
But there right now will be no someplace for them to go.
Correct.
But you plan on selling the lot subject to having that roadway open?
Yeah, yep. These lots will be sold based on that right of way being in place.
Main purpose of that road, because you're over the 500 feet for the cul-de-sac, right?
Correct.
Any other questions from the board?
Commissioners, I would just ask that Mr. Robertson address the question. You had received this, there were a number of comments that the engineering firm had, and I would like, for him to go ahead and address those comments, which they did when they submitted a revised preliminary plat.
Yeah, so we received staff comments as well as engineering comments. We were fine with all of the changes. A lot of them were cleaning some stuff up and some minor modifications. We resubmitted everything this past Tuesday. I think we addressed all of those comments. So what you see in front of you addresses all those comments that both staff and engineering had.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? If not, I'll have you comment, Mr. Joseph, anything else on this, or?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Steve Josephson, County Planner. I think we have covered, most of this. As I said, we've met with the applicant and with the applicants and their representative. The main concern from planning was at some point, if that property to the west develops, to have some sort of cross-access in there, and also the timing of development for that, and that'll be addressed prior to to the submittal of the final plat. Until then, there is going to be a temporary turnaround or hammerhead that's going to be placed there, and I spoke to Emergency Services Director about that, who was, who thought that was a really good idea. As part of prior to the final plat, they're going to submit a plan for construction and maintenance of the private interior subdivision roads. The rest of these comments were some cleanup. We did ask for those properties to the south that there be a non-access line on there, so that way all the access from the lots goes onto the roads that are interior to the subdivision. And of course, that they will talk to the weed officer to determine if there's a weed problem out there, and then how to address that. So at this point, this is a preliminary plat. At some point, the applicant and the representative will be coming in for a final plat, for review, and that's going to be different review. This covers a lot of the technical, and other points, but that will also be noticed. That will be noticed, and we'll have a public hearing on that one. So staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat as amended, what was submitted, earlier this week. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Josephson? If not, then I'll look for a motion on this preliminary plat.
So we need a motion on the preliminary, but not on 4 for now. So we're just looking
Oh,
at
'cause
5.
We'll have to have a public hearing because there's an issue with not all the surrounding landowners were notified on this, so we got the issue that we gotta make sure we get that done.
Just agenda item 5.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, then this is a recommendation to the applicant, and their representatives, so.
Okay.
And we'll have a public hearing then on the rezoning next month.
You're looking for a motion.
Motion, yeah.
So, okay. Chairman, I'll make a motion on the PSP 0122 for Lency Sickler is requesting a preliminary subdivision plat of the Prairie Wind subdivision located in the east half, we all know that, of approximately 80 acres.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Any other discussion? We'll do roll call vote, then Commissioner Arthod,
Aye.
Commissioner Larson,
Aye.
Commissioner Dressler,
Aye.
Commissioner Richard,
Aye.
Commissioner, and the chair votes aye. Motion carried. Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I have no other items.
No other items?
Today.
Okay, then I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.